What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis. We got some major stuff going on here right now in our country that you need to know about. We'll go over here in this video right now. If you're new to our channel and you haven't yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below. It's completely free to do so. This way you won't miss out on our new videos that come out here every day. And thanks so much for liking and sharing these videos. Let's jump right in. Wharton School of Business professor of finance Jeremy Siegel says that if the Fed continues this madness, that a recession is inevitable and will be even worse than expected, as the Fed is going through some notes right now and is expected to give us a decision here of what will happen in December over federal interest rates being raised again. Take a listen.
So, Professor, I asked Roger Ferguson, former Fed vice chair, is Jay Powell really in charge, or is the 10-year in charge? And what I meant by that was, isn't it good that there is a governor, a real-world market governor on the Fed? Because if the 10-year telegraphs you've done enough, the Fed's going to have to listen, or then they're just really stubborn. Do you think that's a positive?
Yeah, you have to listen to the 10-year. Listen, Joe. In less than in about 15 minutes, we're going to get some important housing data, the Case-Shiller data, the Federal Housing Loan Agency data on housing prices. I expect them to show an actual decrease in home prices, something that the Fed can't ignore, even though their lagged way of computing it. Now, they're going to get the CPI. It's often been mentioned the day before the FOMC decision, and the CPI on housing is going to show a positive increase. So the 10-year looks at the real world, and they don't see the prices increasing. They see the prices decreasing. We're not even talking about a slowdown in housing inflation. We're actually talking about negative housing inflation, and we'll see. But I bet in 10 minutes we're going to get negative numbers there. This would be the third month, and they look at on-the-ground price indexes, and the Fed ultimately can't ignore, despite what they say and despite what they quote, those on-the-ground price indexes.
The Fed, I mean, are we all in on the sort of the game? Talk, they can talk, can't they? And that can lower inflationary expectations. They can do a lot of talking about where they're going to go and what the terminal rate is, and that's cheap. It doesn't cost them anything. It doesn't mean that they actually follow through on it. Is that part of what they're doing here? And will they look and listen to market conditions in terms of not stock market? It looks like they like it when the market goes down for the wealth effect if they're trying to hurt demand. But they would have to ignore the bond market at their own peril, and they could go too far. The bond market could be saying, stop, and they could go too far and just bring on their own hard landing that wasn't necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. The Fed is really very data dependent. I mean, I've mentioned before, they kind of laugh when they say all through next year, we're going to, keep the rate tight all the way through the end of 2023. Well, take a look at their past predictions of what they were going to do. A year ago, they were not going to raise the Fed funds rate more than 25 basis points this year. Well, what did they do? I do expect a 50 basis points because I think the price data is going to look good in the December meeting. I really hope that they really just pause after that and let the tightness that they've already induced and the decline in the money supply. By the way, we got it last Tuesday, the 7th consecutive month of decline in the money supply, the biggest 7-month decline since World War II. I mean, this is a very restrictive policy that if they try to keep this restriction going through next year, a recession is virtually 100%. But I think they're going to pivot once they see the weakness in the data come through.
He also said, I expect housing prices to fall 10 to 15%, and the housing prices are accelerating on the downside, so could see even more. With such a drop, the median sales prices of a single family home in the US would drop from its second quarter record high of an average 440,000 to just under 375,000. Ouch. That means that's a drop of let me see here, 25,000 plus 40,000, $65,000 on average on just that size of home. That's a significant amount of money. Yikes. Now, if you're looking to buy a new home, I guess this is a good thing. The problem is that interest rates are much, much higher than they were just a year ago, about double actually. We've gone from 3% interest rates, or maybe even a little bit less, to 7% interest rates. And now we're looking at another interest rate hike here coming in December. So, yeah. We've also seen credit card interest rates at all-time highs, averaging around 20%, with the highest credit cards at 35% or 36%. And now we're going to see yet another interest rate hike in December, and we could see even more in 2023. So when the Fed raises interest rates, pretty much any type of interest rate that you're seeing tends to go up. So that's credit card interest rates, non-fixed mortgage rates. So if you have a variable mortgage rate, those will go up. If you take out a personal loan or anything like that, also car loans. So new car loans, used car loans, we're seeing those dramatically higher. What we are seeing come down is car prices. So just a few months ago, car prices were at all-time highs. Used cars and new cars. So for example, new cars were selling for over MSRP. Sticker price, MSRP stands for manufactured suggested retail price. So if a new car was, say, 30,000, they were having, you know, adjusted sticker prices selling for 35,000, or 50,000 on cars were selling for 55 or even 60,000, because of supply chain shortages and just good old supply and demand, which is just unbelievable. We've never seen anything like that really in the history of the US. So now, because of interest rates and because basically payments have gone up, because almost everybody goes and gets a payment or a lease, which is kind of the same thing. Really, you're paying a payment. I know it's different, but in all reality, you're still paying a payment, right? Um, Now these dealers are having a much harder time moving cars because the payments have gone up. So they're not able to ask over MSRP anymore. In a lot of cases, they're having to ask MSRP or even lower. So yeah, dealers are losing out compared to where they were a few months ago. Yeah, and used cars now have come down because what we were seeing a few months ago is that slightly used cars were actually selling for the price of new cars. So like a slightly used car that like had a sticker price of 30,000 was actually selling for 30,000. So they were selling for the price of a brand new car because brand new cars were selling for 35,000. So that's how like out of whack the car market was and the housing market. Remember, housing markets, if a $300,000 house went on the market for 300, they were actually selling for 350 because they were getting like 20 different people bidding on it the day they were for sale, and people were bidding 310, 320, 330, 340, 350, or people were just straight out coming 350 right out the gate because they knew they had to outbid 20 different people. This is just how overinflated everything was. I don't know why. It was just kind of like tulip mania. If you know the story about the tulips back from the like 1700s or whatever that was, where just everything just started to go crazy. I'm not sure why that was. Maybe just because of low interest rates, or because people were cooped up from the pandemic and wanted to get out and finally get out. But obviously, we know the pandemic's not over. You know, we just caught it from Disney. Um, so that's just your real world example to know that it's not over. It's still out there. So you know, be safe and try to take as many precautions as you can. But obviously, you got to still live your life too as well. You can't stay a hermit forever, right? You know, I mean, 4.5 years we waited to go to Disney, and of course we go one time, and what happens, right? So I don't know. You gotta have a life balance where you can't stay inside your whole life, and but on the other hand, you gotta try to be as safe as possible, right? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Okay, next up, stimulus update deadline is today for Delaware residents to claim $300 direct payments. So today's the last day to file for this. I keep you up to date here with everything going on with money or anything that could put money in your pockets. Well, today is the last day for this. Here's the details on this. Wednesday is the day for Delaware residents who have not yet received rebates to apply for the state's 2022 relief checks ahead of the 11:59 p.m. deadline. The state so far has sent out a total of 782,000 checks worth $300 each, or if you're a married couple, $600. Though thousands more people remain eligible, according to Delaware Public Media. So again, part of my mission on this channel is to help as many people as possible. So when I come across articles like this for any state, I let you guys know about it. So I don't pick and choose states. Literally, just anything I come across, I let you guys know about. Delawareans, I love all these state names. Delawareans can go to de.gov/rebate to find out whether their checks have already been sent out or whether they need to apply. The website is de.gov/rebate. Also, there's an interesting headline here. I'll show you this here in a second. Republicans want answers over Biden's secret Delaware visitor logs. I thought this was interesting. I'll show you that here in a second. Literally, it just happened to be on the page. There could be 10,000, 20,000, perhaps more people that have not reached either because they have not previously filed and were unable to identify them in some other database that was available to us to find them so that they could get their check. So keep that in mind. But yeah, I thought this was interesting, this headline here. President Joe Biden, Republicans want answers over Biden's secret Delaware visitor logs. Wow, interesting headline, right? Yeah, Republicans want answers on the lack of transparency on visitor logs from President Joe Biden's Delaware home. Yeah, now it is his home, so I don't know. You let me know your thoughts here on this. I'm not sure the rules on, their actual home there. The White House has dodged questions on a report that the Secret Service claims to have no records on who has visited Biden's home, where the president has spent more than 25% of his time since he took office. By comparison, the visitor logs to the White House have been released, which makes sense. You would think that the White House would have visitors logs for sure. Quote, President Biden has spent a large amount of time at his Delaware residence since assuming office, says Representative James Comer, a Republican from Kentucky. Quote, Americans deserve to know who President Biden is meeting with, especially since we know that he routinely met with Hunter's business associates during his time as vice president. The Biden administration must provide transparency to the American people. Quote, Representative Nancy Mace, a Republican from South Carolina, has also demanded answers from the Biden administration over his Delaware visits, stating that everyone who comes, quote, into close proximity with the president in an official or personal capacity is screened by the Secret Service, and that their record of coming close to the president exists somewhere. It's bad if there is official business being conducted and they aren't telling us who. It's even worse that the administration is using the Secret Service to excuse its complete and total lack of transparency. When asked by the media about the records of who has met with Biden at his Delaware house, the White House did not give a direct answer, arguing that Biden is leading, quote, the most transparent administration in American history. So you can let me know your thoughts here on that. I literally just actually came across that article as I was seeing the other one. Um, so kind of impromptu data there, I guess. So you can let me know your thoughts here. Yeah, pretty interesting there. I'm not sure the rules on logs at a president's personal home, but Republicans want to see it, and they gave their reasoning there. What do you think? What do you think? Should it be turned over, or should there be some form of privacy for a president, or should there be no privacy at all for a president? Should they have to turn over everything that they have to the public, and that's that? So you can let me know your thoughts here on that. Remember, former President Donald Trump, um, has fought tooth and nail to not turn over his tax returns, and for years and years and years and years. And the Supreme Court actually just ruled that he has to turn them over. And remember that the Supreme Court actually has 6 Republican justices, and 3 of them were appointed by former President Donald Trump personally. Now, um, I think he still has to actually turn them over. I don't think he has done that quite yet, but we will see what becomes of this. So, years and years in the making here of this. Now, remember that pretty much, I believe every other modern day president has um, voluntarily released their tax returns. So, in kind of an effort of transparency, but you know, I don't know. You guys can let me know your thoughts here on this. So this is kind of I guess, both sides, Republicans and Democrats, trying to get some transparency from presidents. Yeah, so being a president would be a nightmare because it just seems like every single thing from their lives is scrutinized. Can let me know here. Also, if you haven't seen this yet, pretty spectacular. Hawaii has a new volcano that is erupting. So they actually have 2 volcanoes right next to each other erupting here. Yeah, you can actually see some footage here. This was after this particular volcano was actually dormant for about 40 years, called Mauna Loa, on the Big Island. So the other volcano on the Big Island has been erupting for decades. This is the other volcano next to it. And as you can see here, that yeah, it's pretty. There's a lot of people there looking at it, but they're saying that it's dangerous because of the winds, the gases, and the smoke. Yeah, so the last eruption was in 1984. Hawaii is such a beautiful place to see. Let me know if you've ever been there or if you live there right now. But hopefully, nobody's homes or anybody gets hurt there. But yeah, the land of fire and ice. They actually have snow on top of some of the mountains there. Uh, Believe it or not. Yeah, they go up so high in some cases. So let me know your thoughts here in the comments, and I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country on a daily basis. Make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel if you haven't yet. It's completely free to do so. This way you won't miss out on our new videos that come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Click the bell icon after you click the subscribe button so you don't miss out on our new videos. You can click here to watch my newest video next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.